Right then. This is a particularly good one. I usually say that at the end, but we're saying that at the beginning today. For good reason. Ever since I did the first e-bike video, I've had random companies emailing me all the time saying, here's this e-bike, would you like to ride it? Would you like to do a video? Blah, blah, blah. And the best way to describe a lot of these companies are copy and paste bikes. I actually had 4 companies email me with the exact same bike with different logos on them. But when Vanpowers emailed me and said, we have an e-bike we'd like you to try, and it is modular and it comes in pieces and you build it essentially like a Lego, I was like, sign me up. As I'm sure you've seen from the title of this video already, this is a build yourself or build up yourself, build up your own. I don't know if there's an official way of saying this, but essentially it's a build your own bike. You build the frame from parts. It's literally the craziest thing I've seen. If you are into my kind of content that I've been making up until now, you like the bike builds, you like the kind of tinkering and stuff, I imagine when you were a kid you either had Lego, Meccano or something similar. I had both those things, potentially why I'm into tinkering and building bikes and stuff like that. So when I saw this on paper and saw the fact that it was all these different parts that you essentially got on the carpet and built it yourself, I was so in. So without waffling on too much longer, there's a lot we need to cover in this one, and let's go and look at the smallest bike box I've ever been sent. Smallest. So here it is, the smallest box I've ever received that supposedly had a whole bike in it. The actual big cardboard box was super strong, so it comes in a good box. That's always important. I mean, look at that. So inside the box itself, I got a light. I didn't think they came with lights, but so maybe they don't all ship with lights. And then you get this very cute photograph that is of your bike when it was assembled at the factory, just before they disassembled it, and put it in this box. Your awesome city venture has passed 25 quality tests. Can't wait to see you. Awesome. I was honestly blown away by the packaging. Everything's kind of like in foam or something, and the wheels themselves all protected. And yeah, it was actually quite enjoyable to kind of unpack it and find all the different pieces and see what was what. Genuinely loved unboxing this bike. Now, obviously this is quite an ambitious thing to do if you're not into bikes and kind of into building things. I was a little bit worried the instructions would be even hard for me to read, but it essentially was put 1 into 2 and 2 into 3 and A into B and so on. It was pretty straightforward. Now watch me stub my toe. That hurt. The first bit was the down tube into the head tube. The down tube has the battery in it, so there was a cable that you had to thread through the actual head tube, which I thought would be really difficult, but it had a zip tie on the end of it, so it helped thread through, which was really handy. Important thing, it says in the instructions, don't cut this off until it says to cut it off. I think that was a nice touch because I very nearly just cut it off straight away, and yeah, pulled it through, nice and easy. Then was the actual battery connector that I had to connect to some wires in the head tube, and then once that was all connected, I was able to slide the first section in, which was kind of exciting. One of the things I thought about was the fact that all these things would need grease and stuff, but you kind of almost want it to seize and kind of like stay put. The other thing is I also wanted to instantly start bolting it all up. Its instructions said don't do that, so I left the tape on the bolts so I knew which ones I hadn't done when I do get to that stage, and then threading the cable through the top tube, and again sliding it in. super satisfying. Generally at this point I kind of look like a kid on Christmas Day playing with Meccano or something. Like, it is literally what this bike is. It's so cool. Made doubly sure that anything that had cables that I knew that they were kind of pulled through. I was really worried that I'd get to a point that I hadn't pulled something through properly, and then I'd have to like go back on myself. This bit I wasn't sure about the down tube, or the seat tube, sorry. It had some tape over it where the actual joins. I wasn't sure if that was necessary or not. It didn't really specify in the instructions. I think it's there to kind of stop you from scratching it when you put it in. In the end I had to pull it out, pull it all off, and then stick it back in. But then this was another thing that I didn't quite understand. In the instructions it says you have to kind of hold the bike upright like this when you do this bit, and I wasn't sure what that meant and why that meant. But essentially, because it's all undone at this point, those bolts, it's all twisting all weirdly, so I kind of moved the bike round like this, and then bam, it goes in. So it's important that you do line the bike up and put it up like this when you do that part, otherwise it doesn't go in. And if I just read the instructions, it very clearly shows you what you're meant to do to get it in there, and I wouldn't have had that trouble. So read the instructions. You're gonna video me?
Yeah. Right in there, the box. The box, big box.
So after firing the cameraman, I moved on to the rear triangle. While my son was recording, I also did then go around and tighten all the bolts for the front triangle, and then yeah, moved on to the rear. Now this bit is really important. I would have never have thought of it. The actual belt needs to be within the frame when you're building it. Normal chain, you can just put it afterwards, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, didn't even think of it. So luckily I was following the instructions. Next I moved on to the fork, the headset, and then the handlebars as well. The instructions are very clear on which order this all goes in. If you've built bikes before, it's pretty obvious and it's pretty standard. I don't know why I'm trying to level it up at this point. You're never going to get it straight into the wheels on there, but whatever. If you're a regular viewer of the channel, you know exactly what I'm going to put on this bike as far as the saddle is concerned, but the Vanpowers saddle is quite nice, but I am going to put a charred spoon on there. I've had this one knocking about for ages. It's brand new. It's got white accents on it, which I didn't really like that much, but this bike is black with white accents, so it kind of worked perfectly. So last was crank and then wheels. Both these went on really straightforwardly. There was nothing kind of crazy to kind of report back. Apart from the cable, make sure the cable on the rear hub is at the bottom, so you can then thread it across the bike and then thread it back into the frame and connect it all up. Like that. And that just left me to put the front wheel on, which had a through axle, and that's that. I suppose we should go and, well, look at it. And that's the end of the build. That was very different, very different indeed. But that is the end of part 1. I am going to do another video pretty soon, which is going to be the ride video, so the first kind of like test ride of it. I did about 20-mile round trip, and I really liked it. I really did. It feels kind of solid. It feels like it's very well built, even if I did build it myself. But yeah, it's a great fun bike. So far, so good. I probably will do a video further down the line as well, which will be a little more kind of like a longevity kind of deeper review. But the first ride video will be up pretty soon. But that's that. I'm going to leave the video as it is. I do want to kind of shout out the fun stickers that are now on the website. You've probably all seen them by now. These things are one of my favourite stickers I've actually made. And I think this bike deserves one, because fun is the name by nature. Fun is the name by nature. Whatever. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to subscribe. There's lots more videos coming, and if you want to catch that review and the ride video, make sure you're subscribed. And this one's a particularly good one. You should go and watch that next.